Hi everyone, this is Ellen Francisco. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well and hanging in. I know it's been a little quaky out there in all kinds of ways, and we've been hanging on and hanging in and holding tight for a lot of months. So pat yourself on the back for getting this far, and let's see where we're going next. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, it's been a ride, and we're learning so much every moment. I'm going to start right away with the tarot cards. I pulled them already. And the first, so I'm doing like a Celtic cross. And the first card I have coming in is the Emperor. And that is authority figures, the crown, the state, the everything, holding true to the center of our lives. And crossing it is the Hermit, the guy who likes to just take it easy and enjoy everything and stay inside and not go any too far away from home. So that's where we're beginning. This is September. I've been nervous about this month for a lot of months. Like I've actually purposely not looked into it because I didn't like the way it felt when I was looking into it for whoever wanted me to. So I think education, don't even get me started. I think that's just going to be a crazy world, and lots of fluidity and lots of abrupt changes and lots of unusual stops and starts, even beyond the ones expected, I think. So we are going to be having to work constantly with restrictions, walls, doors that don't open, windows that don't have a breeze. There's all these things that are kind of riding under the surface of the collective, obviously, on a mass scale of a bunch of stuff that's just been kind of eating at us, right? We've had the opportunity to clean it up for months, and hopefully you all have, or we all have, and we're going to start at ground zero in the next little while at some point. So yeah. The mix between fear and faith, of course, is rolling in polarities, not only in, people who are normally fearful being fearful and people who normally have faith being faithful, more along the lines of everybody doing everything and losing their grounding a little bit here and there. And this is the kind of road we're trying to roll on. So tuning into just sort of the energetic overwave, it is pretty teary. Like, this is a full moon I'm doing this on instead of the new moon like I did last month, but I felt like I wanted to wait, or that was kind of the sense that I had from spirit. Like, anyway, so here we are. So we've got the Emperor and the Hermit holding close and tight, and we have the Seven of Wands at the base of this spread. We have Six of Cups reversed. And this is a Pisces full moon, so you can definitely expect it to be emotional and a bit rocky here and there. And Seven of Swords reversed. You can see that. Is that better? So that's solar plexus as well, right? We're dealing with power. When you're dealing with structures and government and going up against red tape and everything else, you're wound in your own yellow tape with the accordingly, chakras accordingly. All right, so let's start with those. So we've got Seven of Wands, Seven of Swords, and Six of Cups. Interestingly enough, they're still, both of them are dealing with the solar plexus and your power structures. So the point of having the Hermit cross all of this is still pointing towards us having to do and continue to do and dig in to do more and more inner work. So whatever little trails you've left behind, stones unturned, things like that, and I keep seeing these images of rocks, obviously, so I really do think it's going to be a bumpy September. And and it will require us to just breathe and try to slow down. Even though it seems like nothing's moving quickly anyway, it still seems to be like this hyper whirly energy around everything. And when I tune into it, it just feels like cyclone energy, like if you get close enough to that, power force of energy, you're going to get swept up into it. So some of this inner work is just inescapable because so many other people are already doing it. And so many people have been willing to go the distance, sort of quietly waiting for everyone to catch up. So I feel like there will be an acceleration of sorts this month, so that if there are things that you've been really holding true to in your own vision and holding the space, even though you can't materialize it yet, but holding the space in the etheric levels and in the astral plane when you travel at night, then you're going to be able to ride this all right, I think. So conflict, when I think of swords, even though it's showing solar plexus, I always think of swords as throat chakra anyway, because it's like words that cut through, things that cut, things that slice through delusion as well, right? Like you might be riding into a lot of delusion in this month, and it's I'm hearing people go, it's seemingly harmless. I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, so the yeah, it just seems like there are even more things that we've not really aired to in some of our closest circles that need to be aired, almost like secrets told, and things coming up to the surface as well. Full moons shine lights on things, so it's easy to suddenly feel like, oh, a little bit under fire, like somebody's inspecting you a little bit too closely. So I kind of also see this as a lot of bristle energy, like a lot of irritable energy running under the surface too, and on top of the surface too. And there's only so long you can let that bubble through, right? Especially when you feel like you're not going in any direction. But the fact is, like I mentioned a minute ago, it's like the acceleration is such that if you're in tune internally with how you move through the world, and you know get a sense of your own inner timing, you could really catch the crest of a wave that's going to take you into really expansive parts of yourself. So I think for enough of the head trips that people have been in for the most part all these past months, there is a little bit of the fog clearing, but like I said, sometimes it clears and then you're back into some delusion. So I think we're going to be wrestling with this constant, is this real, is this not, is this a valid feeling, is this not, am I is this real what I'm feeling, that kind of questioning and searching and clawing for meaning. It does seem to be a little frantic and possessive. There seems to be a lot of possessive energy rolling around in September. So, and I can kind of feel that in, it's sort of like an insecurity to be possessive of people, right? Like it's a need to hold on unnecessarily to something that was never yours to begin with. It's just a fleeting time space that you have anything. So a lot of what we continue to be asked to do is just to live without the outcomes, live with the hopes and the dreams and the prayers and the wisps and the whispers of creation. Don't live with what it needs to look like when you get there. Don't get too trapped in the trappings. And I think also that's another thing about the emperor in this prominent position, because this is sort of the societal norms and our own, cling to the, oh gosh, I'm just losing my words. They're just trailing off over there onto the horizon, all over there. So we'll wait for them to come back. And okay, so the trapping, that's what I was thinking about with the emperor. There are a lot of trappings in life that we've determined that we can live without, and there are a lot of industries that are shifting accordingly to meet the demands or the undemand that is now their reality. So that continues to shift, and I think that September we're going to see a little bit more about how this is really affecting the world economy and how this is really affecting mental health. So it just seems to me like there's fewer things that can get swept under the collectives. I just think a lot of the collective is on guard and wide-eyed and open, and a lot of people are just kind of bursting into their own, deeper expression of their consciousness, right? And they're vying with all the stuff that's running in the subconscious. Um, yeah, so this is not a time to indulge in self-loathing or self-incrimination or anything like that. This is a time to just go, hey, I'm cool, I'm good, I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I love the earth, whatever it is. You just need to be a little more self-absorbed in all the right ways. And again, it's just like so much inner work. We are catapulting in a lot of ways, and in some ways we were asked to come into our heart in the last month, August, because under all the Leo influences, that would be natural. But we're not really quite there yet. So it's not feeling comfortable enough to the collective to just go and just dive right into it. There's still a lot of pain and a lot of agony that's been repressed for so long that it's almost like this gateway to make it happen now and to purge it all off. And so it would need to continue to be tumultuous. And let's not forget that, most of your growth comes from some kind of conflict anyway, and having to dig into yourself and find your own inner resources and ways that you can, overcome obstacles and other restrictions. So, yeah, we're going to be, so yeah, I don't think we're all quite ready to get lovey-dovey and forgive everybody and all that other kind of stuff. But I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people might just be ready to agree to disagree and kind of pull off from adding too much more fuel to the fire. Like that would be the hope. That would be the reach. And yeah, it's like it's time to have a good news channel too. I think there needs to be a good news channel where we just hear great things and are encouraged to, relish in things that are beautiful happening in the world all the time. So if you can't tune in like that, then maybe don't tune in. I think it's going to be one of those another month where might be better if you're not totally entrapped in social media. So along with these swords and those Six of Cups, so Six of Cups too, keep in mind that upside down, I almost get the sense this card also this month being about who we've put on pillars, who we've adored to the point of just extreme adulation or just holding on. And it's got this sort of you know, a little bit of that don't upset the apple cart energy, but it's too late. It's already been, it's crashing down. So yeah, I really think, you know, things we love are drop. I mean, things that we thought we loved are still dropping off of us, right? We're still recalibrating, like just amazing. It's just amazing, really. And when I tune into the collective too, I'm seeing like all of these, you know, the color that you get on wet pavement after oil drips on it, you know, it's like iridescent. It's got all that rainbowish look, like peacock feathers in certain light, and but a little more purplish. That's kind of how I feel. And I feel like spirit is really, really, really trying to present itself to us in all kinds of perhaps unethical ways. You know, like spirit is its own force, and I still think it's sad that so many people get so freaked out about government this and government that. I mean, there's obviously, we have our passions, we have our rights, and we have the way that we look at things, and we have the way we want to live in the world and feel comfortable. um you know, but spirit's a little less concerned about that as much as they are just movement and growth and stick to the plan and hop on your timeline and don't get too far off, you know. So if you're feeling these pressures to do certain things that you haven't quite committed to or haven't quite, you know, fully mapped out, but you need to at least take some step-by-step action for, this would be a really good month to just, if you don't already find the motivation, to at least druther it up somehow, because I think it'll be good. Yeah, it's always good to kind of work with spirit. Dropping my glasses. All right, so we've got Ace of Pentacles. See, there used to be a book years ago, Do What You Love, the Money Will Follow. And I think of this when I see this card, the Pentacle, Ace, new beginnings, sacral. Yeah, would they consider this sacral? Um, So seeding new growth too, you may be finding that you want to invest in yourself as well, not just, hey, I'm going to take a bath and relax, but more like, hey, I'm going to go to the spa and I'm going to put some money into that sucker, you know, and really do it up right. So you may be looking at self-care in a new way where it's a little more indulgent and a little more self-preserving. Self-preservation at this route, at this time, is a really good idea. Back to what I was seeing with the collective, because I'm back to it, it almost has this you know, kind of jellyfish, like, you know, slow kind of um sticky kind of goopy goop. So I really do think that um in some ways it's no mistake that all of humanity has to deal with this kind of stuff all at once. I mean, it's an incredible blessing to have a potential reset once you get beyond all the chaos. So I really yeah, it's pretty sticky. Like, we're entrenched, we're entangled, we're wrapped in, we're bundled up, we're just like, you know, um that's what it looks like to me. So I would not be surprised if there were just uh, finer detail about how, you know, new laws and things are. Oh wow, that's going to be messy. But anyway, back to the good stuff. Let's yeah. So here's the thing. If you're not worshiping false gods and being affected by that emotionally. And you're not holding on too much to anything. Uh, Wheel of Fortune is here. So it really does point to the fact that, I mean, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So, you're either sinking or swimming during this section of time. You're either really, really, your awarenesses are growing. So, to the extent that you're doing your work and you're meeting your own inner tasks and, meeting your own future to a certain degree, and by that I mean, when you get these day-to-day things like, oh, I gotta move, or I've got to end this relationship, or I need a new job, or I need to do something about this, or I need to give up my habits, or I need to blah blah blah, whatever your goal is, um, the more aligned to that is, and the more purposeful you are in your willing approach to it, to the whole scene, um even when it's frustrating and overwhelming, you still have the potential to manifest pretty large during this period, and you also have the ability to like, in a way, kind of recognize a good thing at this point. I don't know, maybe a strange way of saying it, but I think there are going to be some choices that are just obvious during this period that are a no-brainer, and opportunities that could come in. And I do see a lot when I'm also looking into the collective, just tons of shifting, and not just internal, emotional, psychological, and like that, but just really like, oh, I'm moving here, and now I'm moving there, and now this guy's living with me, and who's there and who's there and where and where. So there's a lot of stuff moving around, considering some aren't going too far. So at the end of this is the Chariot. So this is so symbolic in so many ways. This can be the push and pull within yourself. Which way do I go? Yes or no, no or yes. This could be the forces of light and dark, evil and good, the measurement of momentum, and how, and are you on yours? Have you found yours? Are you working with it? Do you understand your momentum? Do you understand when you need to rest and break? And do you understand where you need to full throttle? And who is your companion on this journey? Like, there, I still come back to absolutely needing, absolutely having to work with allies and support team members to stabilize during these rocky roads. And diet's extremely important during this period too, from what I can see too. And just simple, ease it off, slim it down. Like, I could see emotional eaters having a hard time during this month. I could see um there's a lot of choice, right? You have a lot of choice every day, and all the right choices lead to all the right destinations. So do your best. That's another reason that it's good to have supports around you, and people who know you and that you can trust and that you can run things by, because often they'll see parts of you that you don't want to see yourself, and you don't really want anybody really looking at all that closely. But if you're willing to address it head on and kind of live with the reality that, oh yeah, maybe there's still room for improvement, or maybe I'm not thinking this through, or whatever it is, it's just, I think, a necessary part of you know, I mean, we're moving more into the collective working with as a win-win rather than as a dismantling competitive force, right? And of course, it's going to take more than just a couple of years to get there at the rate we're going. But that's really where spirit is taking us, and it will be demanding, and it really isn't for the weak of heart. So whatever you can do to shore up your what you consider are your weaknesses, and just pray or ask or open or just show me how, ask spirit. Understand that you really do have invisible allies. Maybe lately they haven't been so invisible, because I for sure am getting calls from people going, what the heck's happening to me? Oh my God, you know, I'm seeing things, what am I gonna do? So, and I'm like, I know what you mean, Jelly Bean. Crystal color kaleidoscopes. So yeah, that's all coming. Like, here's the thing: while everybody's running around worrying about government and government and government and government, our freedoms, like, understand that as a spiritual life force, there's like, you came here to do something specific, right? It wasn't just, hey, let's drop down here and go on this kamikaze, maybe nowhere life, you know. You came down here for a specific purpose to get something done, or a few things done, you know, um and you came in with a crew of people, you know, in your tangible life and in your untangible life. So brace for um greater communication from, like, you know, really honestly, your spirit wants to be embodied, not just sort of floating up around there, right? So the embodiment of your spirit fully requires a lot of you know, cleaning out the trunk of junk kind of deal. So I do see tons of people just whipping through lifetimes of karma, by the way. Like, it's an amazingly accelerated period. I also think that people are uh, like, the surrender factor is a little bit better. I'm going to call it that. It's kind of a weird name, but the energetics of it looks like, you know, um, many have sort of just, I don't want to say succumbed. It's almost just they've adjusted with an attitude to match the facts, right? To match the reality that seems to be unfolding. And that's going to unfortunately have to continue. I mean, this is the thing. We're on this sort of revolving door, and yeah, it's going to be it's going to be interesting. So here's, oh yeah, so back to spirit. I wanted to just talk about the fact that, you know, if it's hard to fathom how much of a spiritual force is in effect in our day-to-day life. And for people who really believe in God and believe in miracles and believe in everything else, then, you know, they're in a state of mind where it's going to be easier for them to see things or accept things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is keep an open mind regardless of what's going on. The more you can just kind of watch it roll by neutrally without hooking into it, the better it's going to be. And I see a lot of benefit from feet stomping. I don't know why I'm seeing that. Like, a lot of just like stomping ground. What's your stomping ground? Where are you going? Where's your comfort place? Where do you feel at home? And it's also, there's a lot of shock, you know, like there's chakras in the feet that could be cleared out. I have to wonder too, because still like a buildup of unexpressed energy. So let's say that you may have a little more energy in September, but it might not be the kind of energy you're used to. And I don't know why I'm saying that, but it does look like, I don't know, like if you were the type to have to be up all night because you were an insomniac, maybe you're able to finally sleep. Like there just seems to be some corrections as well that are just like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that took care of itself, you know? Oh, cool. But then there's going to be other things that are just like, oh my God, like this freaking thing. It's never going to end. So just take the good with the good when you can, relish in it, embellish upon it, and um, try not to give too much to the, you know, to the denser, restrictive. See a lot of jealousy this month. Like, why? I don't know why that keeps coming up, but I don't know. Maybe things are just hitting a pinnacle. Maybe it's just emotions flaring under this moon. It's just intense, you know, and it does seem to play tricks on people's minds. And, you know, where you're just really fine 1 second and then dipping down into some deep pit of despair and then you coming up for water and, you know, I think that's what yeah, it's going to be like that. Not to say that you can't have a ton of fun, right? Like you are allowed to, and you have, I think people are also finding their own permissions, finding their own ways to make up for some of their losses as well. That makes sense. Riding off their losses. All right, I'm going to pull another couple cards. A lot of them are on the floor right now, unfortunately. They've just been falling off the table. So I know Mars is about to go into retrograde. It's still in, um, wow, Aries. So shake and bacon at home too. Like you have to keep your home life dialed in. You got to keep your equilibrium there. Got, you know what I mean? Work from the inner structures. Build the house, no problem. Page of Swords. You know, this card makes me think of, um, you know, we're too spiritually high to be of much earthly good. So you can kind of get stuck in the clouds a little bit and get carried away with things and take things too seriously and want to go to war and want to just, you know, cut to the chase. But in a lot of ways, it's not your war to fight. So that is another thing that we're going to have to work with too, is understanding what is your fight, what, you know, what is your, like, what the heck is really yours to do? What are you carrying? What are you willing to wield a sword for in your own life? What are you willing to fight for? Like, but it also has to, I think it has to do with just growing up and trying to, it's like evolution, necessary evolution, like you're, um, it's like we have tools that we don't even know how to use, basically, in this human form. And we often misuse the tools that we do have. So this is, I feel like a little bit of a warning to, you know, make sure that your efforts are directed in ways that are really self-serving. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean that in a growth-oriented win-win way so that it isn't a fight. You know what I mean? I think too that a lot of people are going to be walking in. you know, a mile in other people's moccasins during this whole period of time. You know, they're finding themselves in situations that they didn't think they'd find themselves in, and that they had grown complacent and entitled over, and things have shifted and changed. And you know, there's a lot of introspection that comes with that. And there, you know, in the negative, you can get into blame and resentment, but in the positive, you can get into surrender and release, and freedom from emotional attachments. And which side of the pendulum you swing on is really going to have to do with the kind of care you're taking of yourself, honestly, right? So, like, it's not a time period to be self-deprecating, or like, there's enough restrictions in the outer world. You have to try to release them in your inner world, right? Do the work that you can. Do what's yours to do in the way that you can. But for sure, humanity is going through an explosion in the third eye, sixth chakra. Men especially are working through a lot of past life stuff too. I've seen a lot in that in my clients. I've seen a lot, you know, I just see it out there. So love the one you're with. See what else is cooking in here. Oh, that's great. Love the one you're with, and Six of Cups come up. So yeah, you know, back to supports, and I think that um yeah, I think this is a time period too where you kind of get to see who your real friends are and who your real supports are, and you understand how much of yourself is on the table to put into relationships. So you're getting really clear about your own availabilities and your own restrictions as far as what you'll take on. So somehow boundaries have been redetermined for a lot of people, and this will be a time to just relish, you know, find more simple pleasures. I mean, it really is. I've really becoming a simpler bunch, although it looks like we're more complicated. Service to humanity is very much up as well. I always think of that with this card for some reason. Every time I think of it, sort of comes in. So this is the kind of going back to what I said about spirit and the spiritual force in our lives, and that we as spiritual beings made decisions and promises to come here into the earth plane and deal with all this uck and muck, and deal with all the densities and incredible backwardnesses. And you know, and it's really hard, like, you know, a lot of people like to opt out when it gets like this. And so regardless, wow, it's not really, I shouldn't use that word regardless. It's just a lot. It's a lot. It's not a lot, and it's a lot. So it's really important to go at your own pace, and to understand that if you require extra time to do certain things, that you allow that and you build that in because you love yourself enough to do that for yourself. So all the things, all the little things where your needs aren't getting met, start to kind of chase those to the why of that. Why aren't they getting met? Well, what's in the way? Is it him? Is it her? Is it me? Is it you? What is it? Who is it? Why is it? You know, and start weighing whether your attachment point is really in agreement with the parts of you that don't want you to attach, right? Like I guess, I mean, we end up getting all these strings with relationships and things where, you know, if you're not careful, you're kind of roped into things and you're like, oh my God, I want to be on my couch right now. So, you know, don't over promise and under deliver during this period. It would be way better to under promise and over deliver when you're feeling better or feeling more up to it. Because I feel like Mars in retrograde is going to kind of make us zappy. Like it's just gonna zap us. It's just gonna be like you're going along, going along, going along, and all of a sudden you're gonna just be like bam down. And you're gonna need some time to come out of that. It's like this heavy, um, it's just, I don't know, I just see it as this very heavy pull off energy, you know, pull down. Yeah, let's see what else I'm seeing. September is usually my most favorite month, so oh, see how it goes, I guess. Yeah, I'm just tuning in to see what else wants to come forward here for September's full moon in Pisces. If you haven't gotten comfortable with um, how you grieve the letting go of all this past life stuff that's been riding under your consciousness, then um, I don't know, just relax, I guess. We wax, Western we waxation won't hurt anybody. Yeah, so, and this whole sense of, you know, freedom and rights and what are we free to do and on and on and on and on. We are free to build a construct of our own lives moment to moment. So hold the capsules of truth that, you know, that it can be easy and effortless. And I feel too like a lot of people who have just gone through years and years and years and years of struggle, because a lot of people had it really hard these last like 10 years, you know, like it's almost been like catch up, catch up, catch up. Like we all needed to be at a certain point by now. And I felt that before, almost like this quickening, this pressure building. So, and as every, you know, person that's popping open happens, it just makes it easier for someone else to, you know, it just becomes like this contagion, just like the virus could. So a lot of this is kind of juxtaposed. I think it's kind of funny, and I'm back to this whole thing about, you know, spiritual law and the spiritual government that really governs what's going on here. And the mess of what's going on here is really just a lot of it obviously has to do with, you know, clinging to the ego construct as well, and what needs to be out bettered all the time in society. So, uh, like that's a dismantling force right now, and like, you know, like a self-annihilation set on timer seems to be, you know, it's just good to, I don't know, I feel like a lot of good will come out of these weird months, but it sure won't feel like it right away, and it sure won't look like it for a while. And that's the problem with some of the energies, even in September specifically. It's like you can really believe it's one way and it might actually be a completely different way. So I really wouldn't necessarily trust your judgment a whole lot in September, like whether you're thinking positively or negatively. I would question your ability to determine and surmise properly, because I just feel like whatever's going on in the planets, whatever's going on collectively, there's just going to be a lot of interference energy anyway, and a lot of uh, just spinning, man. It's just like it's like, well, it's funny because at times I see it as this slow jellyfish, like energy, and at other times it's like moving so fast I can hardly, catch a glimpse. And I think that has to do with how some of us individually are just being tuned up and tuned in, and wow. So if you're having extreme dreams or extreme situations, unusual happenstances and circumstances, it's kind of par for the course right now. It's anybody's ball game. I really do get the sense too, like for people who are adept at traveling between dimensions and are somewhat aware of it, I think that there are going to be some really unusual experiences happening, almost like the potential like bringing some weird artifact back from another place. It just seems like anything is possible right now. And so could be your life turning on a dime for the better too, and just out of the blue happenstance. So you know what I mean? Like, it's good to kind of wake up and expect a miracle regardless of what's going on, and just go, hey, I'm up for grabs, man. Come on, give me something, universe, and just see what comes to you. Oh, my crown is like, ooh, totally just started like, whew. So connect to your spirit guides, and really, it really is a spiritual force, and it's coming like a wide wave, heading right for the shores of us. And so basically, if you feel like you have a calling to do something, if you feel like you must do something, niggly thoughts and whatever else, go with them and just allow yourself to chase these corridors and see what's at the end of them. There do seem to be a few little, like, spirit can sometimes send you on wild goose chases, to kind of test out your willingness to listen without the stakes being too high. So if you find yourself in situations like that, just understand that you're being tested, and there may be rewards around the corner for things that you actually accomplish and things that you get done. It's hard to keep the faith a lot of times during these ups and downs. So it's a good time to, marry a routine that's going to give you a little bit of that as an added boost. Like chisel out, carve out all those swords, carve out the time that you need as well for yourself. This is a time, like, understands as well that spirit recognizes how well you take care of yourself, and it absolutely is determined on what they trust you with, right? Even though you came here to do whatever you came to do here, there's all these little great, it's like in those in video games where you get to a certain point and all of a sudden you get like these caches of great things. Spirit really does work like that, and it can see right through you and is pulling you along regardless whether you really want to accept it or not. Just like we're all freaking horrified that we might have been lied to all these months. Like, that's the least of our concerns. Like, spirit is pulling and pushing and moving us to just wake the heck up and get a move on up and work more together. So try to look at life like, I don't know. It's good to, God, it's so funny because it's like the less you want, the better you're going to be, but you still need to want things. The wanting is what motivates us to move. So I do get a sense though that the stops and starts in September will have a lot to do with motivation too, where we'll just be like running, 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 and all of a sudden like hightail stops. So like just be patient with yourself, be patient with your own process, and allow it to just be pliable, I guess. Be pliable. Yeah, be pliable. You know how if yeah, it's way better to be pliable. It's you don't get hurt as much. I mean, think of about those stories where people who drink excessively, they go out and drive and they get into a car accident and they're so drunk and relaxed because of it, they walk away from it. Like that's kind of the state we need to be in without the alcohol and without the car keys, to get to where we're going next. We need to be able to just let go and not hold on at the same time, which seems maybe it's the same, but maybe not so much. Yeah. So expect to change your mind 100 million times pretty much too, during your uncertain times. That's why I'm coming back to the fact that it's good to have a few people in your life that are your sounding boards and that can just be honest with you. Like, if that's the other thing too, here would be a great challenge for September. Why don't you call up one of your best friends or somebody who's known you for a really long time and ask them to give you some constructive feedback on, how they see you in the world and what they think of how you think about things and what they think about how you go about doing things. And just, and force yourself to be in an open and willing state to listen. You don't have to take it in, but it's almost like it would get you to a place that you could just not, I don't know. I think it would have a lot of benefits actually. So I'll leave that up to you. But because it's good to get the feedback, right? Like if we get too stuck in our own ways and we get too stuck in it, you can end up having all this warped thinking that like inadvertently happens because you weren't paying attention to all the tiny little thoughts that were kind of whatever they were and aren't really for you. So, or I don't know, you need somebody to help you scrape through those fields and, you know, take away some of your entanglements and your own restrictions of thought and your own, you know, unwillingness to change. Like it's hard, right? You get comfortable. And even if comfortable isn't comfortable, it's still comfortable because you know what it is. You've sort of learned how to navigate around it. You've learned how to just grin and bear it. So, yeah, some of us are getting better at that than we'd want to be, but that's also part of an impeccability of life too. Like if you can do something that you hate and without it looking like you hate it, that's a master of some, I mean energetically too. I don't mean just like putting on a false face and going with it. I mean like, living that in your body, then that's like warrior on earth stuff and doing it, with spiritual integrity. Yeah. So good heavens. I do feel like people who might have been out of work can kind of land something good in September too. If you've been out of work for a lot of months or something hasn't quite come in for you or something this, something that, I feel like there's enough shift and enough kind of kamikaze happenstance that you might just look on to something, and get a little magic carpet ride to boot. So keep an open mind. And if, by the way, you are going through your own psychic explosions and spiritual expansions and you don't know what to do or how to work with them, just trust that, it's not that you're going crazy. It's just that your perceptions are widening and it's just calling you to use different parts of yourself to derive information from. So, and to you're building new trust within yourself as well and better understanding regardless. And that benefits everyone. So even if you feel stuck and you're not going anywhere, you're still working for the betterment of yourself. Yeah, I mean, spirit for sure is working for the betterment of yourself. Ooh, Queen. Mastering emotion. Yeah, calculating too. You could be, you know what I mean? You can work with your emotions in a way that they don't need to rule you, that you can allow them to be without taking you over. And that is a combination of discipline and, you know, fortitude, I guess. So yeah, enjoy the dreamy, delusional states that are coming this month. But if they're negative, try not to take them too seriously. And as always, it's a good time to just chillax, unless you're shirking your duties. And then I'd say, get the heck to it. You know what I mean? Like, not a good time to shirk your duties, not a good time to shirk your next logical steps in anything that you're working towards, especially if spirit's been nudging you already or that voice inside your head is getting louder. You know, because you don't want to get into some hot water because you got complacent and lazy and not the month. I mean, it's the month to rest if you need it, but it's not the time to be lazy because you're like a slouch. Okay, so so you still have to try to be tying into your life force and your soul centered, you know, desires. And challenge yourself to love your conflict. That's tough, but you don't have to do it every day either, but you know, just here and there, try it out. Yeah, see, illusions of grandeur. I wasn't lying. Yeah. So here's the other thing too, you know, as much as you might be taking care of yourself and things like that, there's still going to be opportunities where you can be of service to humanity in a way that is um, good for you, right? Just so you would need to use discernment as well in how you expend any energies beyond just what you need to take care of yourself and your immediate loved ones. So that in mind, yeah. And for those who have, like, you know, got down nitty gritty, got their work done, faced their devils and demons and inconsistencies and um, animosities, you know, like there's great reward in relationships that you work on too, right? Like the ones that you're willing to work on and work on yourself with, you can really bring in a lot of um, emotional riches as well as material enjoyments. So rise and shine, shake and bacon. Rock this month, even though it's going to be hard and weird and challenging. It'll still be fun and exploring. So yeah, give your permission to have a great time out there. You're allowed to love your life. Love all the parts that work and all the parts that want to work. Leave you with one last little cat. Oh my gosh, isn't that funny? So he came up again. Yeah. So don't be foolhardy. Don't go out there with all guns blazing like a warrior for, you know, for squabbles, little squabbles, okay? Like take the appropriate gear to the appropriate function. And please continue functioning at your highest. and best. I'll see you under another sky, my loves. Have a great night and a great month. Ciao for now.